did this ourselves.
They're coming. It can't be.
Where is everyone?
Hello, survivors. Makeshift here. I am still on site at Wasteland Weekend 2023. The event's over, but we're still going because there's a lot of stuff that needs to get moved and packed up. Most of the tribes are gone, but Teardown crew is still here kicking ass, turning this place back into open desert. And I've got a couple special guests with me today, and we're going to talk about how pretty much everything this year went, from before the festival to during the festival, and now after the festival, and maybe what's coming down the line for the spring. But I don't want to waste any time here, so we're going to get right into it. So my first guest today is Wasteland World owner, Jared Butler. Hi, Jared. How's it going?
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing so good.
I'm doing great, which I don't always say during Teardown.
Isn't that true? Sometimes it can be pretty bad. Not bad. It's just sometimes it can be a lot, is what it comes down to.
It can be a lot. It can be bad. It can be good, and it's an adventure every time. It's like, this is where the weird begins once the event is over, because you've got people that are a little loopy, a little exhausted, but and lots of strange tasks come up when you're trying to destroy in an orderly way a post-apocalyptic city.
There's a lot of moving pieces, and one of the people that helps keep all the moving pieces moving in the right direction, well, at least I hope, is the Landlady Winter. Hello.
Howdy.
Hi. So I've asked you your title so many times, and it comes down to I'm the landlady. What the hell does that mean?
It's actually kind of been, I think, a little bit of a joke with a lot of people the last few years. The landlady thing started as a shtick for Neotropolis. If anyone's seen the movie Kung Fu Hustle, the landlady from that was a character kind of thing I wanted to play off of. But it sort of sums up, I think, a lot of what I do around here in general. I am the vendor coordinator, have been the vendor coordinator for many years now. Probably too many. That was, I think, a position that people would do for a year or two and go, I'm not doing this anymore.
It's true.
And every year I was told, Jen, you don't have to do this again. You don't have to do that one again. I'm like, oh, I'll still do it. But I think over the years I've kind of picked up a lot of the random tasks that didn't really fall into any certain category. As of this year, I'm now the layout manager as well. So I handle all the survey, getting things in the right places, and yeah.
And that's a lot, because I think, what's the math? It's about a half mile long, a quarter mile wide. So it's like
I have no idea.
It's something
I've never even thought about how big it
I know
actually
kind of
is.
how big I think square, like square miles?
Yeah, because when I made my map, I
what
overlaid it with Google.
We're at like the entire event space is like 30 or 40 square miles, or 40 maybe?
Wow.
That's square mileage.
And that's the entire property.
No.
That's just this.
So we have a large buffer zone around us that is also the property. We could expand much larger if we wanted to. I mean, some of it is scrub brush, some of it's not great property. We got the hills and everything else. But yeah, we have a lot more space. So when people, if people like that rope boundary that you see, that's the outer boundary. That outer boundary is not the property. That's within the property.
Got it. And that's what we decide, 6 kilometers long or something like that?
I don't know,
I
but
have
now
no
I'm
idea.
really
No one knew the
how
miles.
much? You mean how much rope we
Yeah,
put
how
out?
much rope for the outer?
I was told there would be no math.
So it's still early. Wait, is it? I don't know anymore.
Well, I know what I'm doing when I get home. I'm getting on Google Maps and I'm measuring things out, so now I'm curious.
Yeah. All I was trying to say is it's a lot of property to manage, and you do a great job at it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And JR, who is the new
Chief of Operations.
Thank you. Basically in charge of the build and the teardown, amongst many other things, I'm sure. Should be joining us anytime. He keeps getting pulled away, but we got his mic set up for him, so any moment he might jump in.
Yep. It is hot and ready for him.
But basically, if you're wondering how the hell this event happens, it starts with pretty much these 3 and trickles on down.
Oh, I
to
thought you were going to tell me, because I was wondering how the hell this event happens, and I thought you were going to tell me, because I kind of need
It was
to
all
know.
a dream in Jared's head, and then...
No, I will say, it's like it's like if you were going to write a book or something, you sit there and you look and you think, I can't just write out several hundred pages. But then you start writing it, and it all starts, or in my case, I used to do screenplays and stuff. So like, it eventually happens. but before it happens, you sit there and think, how is that possible? And then even when you're done, you kind of look at it and go, how did I do that?
Yeah, right.
Because when something has that much to it, it can seem it's overwhelming when you think about the entirety of it. And sometimes people will look at the photos and videos of Wasteland people from outside the Wasteland community, and they're like, how do you do all that? And I'll say things like, oh, we have a great team and this, but I just honestly.
Well, it's like the old
I have no
adage. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Don't think about eating the elephant because you can't. You just start eating and eventually you eat the elephant.
That's an endangered animal.
Yeah.
Why is that the go-to?
Okay, how about a caribou?
How about just a giant sandwich?
Yeah.
You know what? If there was a giant sandwich
record-breaking
enough that would work
submarine.
for the analogy, then fine. We'll go with the giant sandwich.
Did you guys ever imagine that putting on a 5-day event would become like a full-time job?
Well, no, not at all. But once we added the second event, once we added Neotropolis, like, shit, this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
Can we swear? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. Making sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to give you a lot of editing to do.
Yeah,
Oh, it looks like JR is walking over here.
Yeah, we might be able to grab him.
Well, while he's walking up, I was just going to say, yeah, adding a Neotropolis, I think for everyone on the senior staff team, it changed everything.
Yeah, and as of this year, I think Neotropolis we'll talk about it closer to the end, but I think maybe end up being as big as Wasteland. So talk about sucking up time. Yeah,
and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But right now, JR is settling into his seat. Go ahead and pull kind of close to that microphone, and
get right on it.
Yeah, say hello.
Hi, sorry I'm late, everyone, and Overseer's work is never done.
So true.
Oh yeah, we didn't say his nickname, the Overseer.
The Overseer. Yeah. And how did you earn that name?
I was sitting in the old studio. We were prepping for Neotropolis 1. I think it was the first or second build weekend. And I said, I think I'm going to change it up for Neotropolis and do something like the Overseer. And my predecessor said, good, I hate your fucking Wasteland name.
What was your Wasteland?
What was your Wasteland?
It was Mr. Mortis back in the day because they read my name
Mr.
wrong.
Mortis. Oh, because instead of Morris, they said
funny.
Mortis.
Well,
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was JR and they read Mr.
I don't even remember that.
If you remember 16, you had to pull a lot of around Wasteland contest to fill the stage Saturday afternoon. Someone had canceled or something. I remember hearing you would run place to place. Like, hey, are you giving away a trophy or something? Great, get up there at 2 o'clock. We'll give you some time. And we did a ton of that. And I had one Sanctuary Hills' holy shit, you rode in here on that dangerous rickety wreck bike contest my first year. And when Tyra, Commander Selke, I think, read my name, she just read the wrong thing. And I came down off my tribe, was like, well, you're Mr. Morris now, enjoy.
Yep.
Nice.
And I was told, no, we hate that. Everyone's hated it for years. You sound like everyone's father. Just change your name in both, and it's appropriate for Wasteland anyway.
Yeah, and it also it just sounds like he's the town mortician or something,
Right.
Mr. Mortis.
Right.
Well, that could be your Halloween name. If we ever do a Wasteland haunt,
There we go.
Which would be successful, but we would never do because it would be October, and
Right.
we don't. Yeah, we're in a coma in October.
I remember when we started doing Neotropolis, I think Miranda or someone was trying to get me to have a different Neotropolis name. She was like, you could be Frostbite because it works with Neo or with
Right.
Winter. And I tried it for a whole half a second. I'm like, yeah, no. Winter it is. I'm not having multiple names anymore.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Overseer is from Fallout.
Indeed.
Yeah, because what is it? All the vault leaders were the overseers,
Right. Exactly.
and sometimes they'd take turns, and sometimes they'd murder everybody. So let's now that you're here, Overseer, let's talk about build. Because when I got here, I think I was number 12 on site, which I haven't been that early since 2011 maybe, but even then it was probably 25 people.
Maybe, and build wasn't as long back then.
Yeah.
Build was a much shorter period of time.
Right, and I thought by being here a few extra days early, I would get to see some things get built, but we weren't building much for those days.
Because it was done.
Yeah.
It was done early.
We got very ahead on our build this year, to the point that we actually had to stop and say, hey, look, guys, we understand you're raring to go and would love to go build this, but we don't necessarily have the minds that lead some of these builds on site yet. We're going to have to slow down a little bit, do some deco ahead of time, get people working in different places than we usually do, just to let everyone get here to finish.
Yeah. I mean, basically, we have an Outriders team, which is the team that shows up first boots on the ground of the Outriders, and they have some time to sort of get things prepped for the larger build crew. And we were a day or two out from the larger build crew all coming in, and Outriders were starting to do some of their projects
Oh,
because
wow.
they were so far ahead. Like, we might as well do this, and so that was starting to happen. And we were like, yeah, let's slow down a little. We've got a bunch of people that are trying to earn their ticket to the event and like we're doing their work for them.
Yeah, I definitely felt that. Like, hey, we got to save something for these guys so they're not just standing around bored.
For sure.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
nice having that actual, like, wow, we can slow down. We don't have to
Yeah.
push ourselves so hard like usual. We
Yep.
had some great weather,
Which helps a lot.
Yeah.
And and a great team that is
Yeah.
every year they get more experienced, and we figure out who the best people are for the job. And there was a lot of that, and just a really good energy out there.
Yep.
A lot of enthusiasm.
And for the first time in the whole time, pretty much, we were storing all of the build materials pretty darn close.
Indeed.
Yeah. Our new build yard is much closer, and that's been a game changer.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
The logistics on that have been. I'll take some credit, and I'll give this team a lot of credit for what we've done. But the reality of the changes in logistics as well, combined with everything else in great weather, just made this so much less painful of a process.
Yep.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. And yeah, Build was such a pleasure to be here for because the attitudes were really setting up for a really good event.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
Right.
Yep.
And then when tribes started to show up on, the first tribes were kind of like Friday with the Build crew. I think a couple trickled in.
Yeah, mostly it's the weekend before
Yeah.
that a lot of the big ones come in. But yeah.
And the attitude just carried right over to the tribes. Everything was just
Yeah, that's what I heard from a lot of tribes. They were like, we arrived on site and things were already up, and it really inspired us to be like, oh wow, look, this is going so smooth. Like, let's get on it. I know there was a lot of people arriving that just said, hey, this thing's already there for me, and I can already place around this thing, and
Yeah, not a lot of waiting around.
yeah, exactly.
absolutely. All right, so let's speed up to the gate opening, because I think this was the first theatrical gate opening in a couple of years. Because hadn't we been doing like a volunteer celebration?
I will take the blame for the fact that some of the gate openings have not been great over the years. It was something I always wanted to do, but I would get busy with so many other things that I didn't really have time to plan anything special. And so it would be one of it. So for anyone who's ever done a Wasteland costume, I'm going to try to make an analogy here. For anyone who's ever done a Wasteland costume, you spend a lot of time doing all of the, okay, well, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to use this piece for, and how am I going to attach this, and let's try this on, let's see if this fits, and you put together the whole outfit, and the distressing that you do to it generally happens at the very end. And it tends to be the thing you run out of time for.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's like 50% of how good that outfit looks is like putting the paint on and tearing it up and doing all the rolling in the dirt, all that.
The details.
The
The
really
details
good
are
details.
important.
It happens at the very end.
Yeah.
And so it's always been kind of like that for the gate opening. And so there are times when I'm literally just kind of pulling something out of my ass at the last second, like based on what I have available.
Gotcha, right.
And part of that also is because there were times in the early days where I would have these grand plans of, okay, so I've got these stuntmen lined up that really want to do this thing, and these, because working in Hollywood, you get to know people, and that would be all. And then I've stopped trying to coordinate with stuntmen anymore because invariably what would happen is they would get a gig. And they'd be like, so sorry, man, that sounded so fun, but I've got a paid gig on this movie. I got to take it.
Yeah.
And that happened multiple times. I'm like, all right, well, not going to plan for that anymore.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was just kind of, and then also, this was the 13th year we've been doing this. You don't want to do the same thing over and over.
Of course.
Now, certain traditions are cool, like honoring volunteers and then stuff like that. But like, you don't want to do the same little show each time. So, anyway, yeah, we pulled together a tiny little story. That was, I think about a half hour before the gates opened. I was like, oh, here's an idea. I wish I thought of this like 3 weeks ago, but let me see if I can pull it off.
Awesome.
So we just did a simple thing where it was, I was just kind of welcoming people to Wasteland Weekend, and I wanted to do a little bit of a tribute to Tina Turner, who passed this year. So I did a bunch of Auntie's lines from Thunderdome, and then had Ravage, my entertainment director, who was now camped with the War Boys across the street. And so I was like, well, Ravage can come over and have the War Boys kind of challenge the Elite Guard a little bit. So we just did a little thing, and then and the Elite Guard and we had a specific Elite Guard and War Boy square off, and then turned out, just coincidentally, they were already planning to fight in the Thunderdome, which I didn't even know when I planned the shtick.
Oh, hilarious.
I was
That's
gonna have. I said, Ravage, how about you and I, we'll pick a champion and say we'll settle this in the Thunderdome, either one of yours versus one of mine, Well, not knowing that was already like, and no, they're actually already fighting tomorrow night. Perfect.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the War Boy won, by the way.
Oh, good.
So I don't know how that's going to play out for my power dynamic with Ravage.
Nice. This was my first time being inside the gates when they opened. I'm usually set up. I've been on the Road Rash Tower for as long as they've been out there now. Kind of in the same spot, which has been great, but I've been looking for a reason to not be there. But also, when I put all the years together, it just looks so cool because you just see the growth and the differences.
Yeah, I love that. Like, well, that 10-year video you put together.
Yeah.
I think that was the lead up to 2019. So that would have included years through 2018.
Yep.
And you had some of those montages showing not just the growth in size, but quality as well.
Yeah, but so I was basically hanging out in Command Center, which is right inside the gates. As you're walking in on the right, that's where most of the staff's hanging out and where a lot of the logistics happens, where the overseer is running lots of things. And so seeing people walk through the gates, their faces, their excitement, watching all of staff yelling at them, welcoming them in a very Wasteland way, was a really cool perspective to have. How cool did it feel for you guys when we opened those gates and people get to see the city anew, afresh again?
It is my favorite and least favorite thing every year. It's my favorite thing to watch everyone, the intensity of the gates opening and everything else. And having done a lot of the work on building them initially, it's always a treat for me when people enjoy them to the full scope of what we can get out of someone. And it's always a wild time.
Yeah.
It is also the loudest and most diesel and gasoline fume clogged
It's
portion
so true.
of the entire event. And Command sits in that miasma of gas fumes for about an hour and a half after the gates open every year. No complaints, anyone. Don't think that means we don't love you.
Well,
riding through the
now
gates,
you know
but,
why the last two gate openings I'm no longer in command. I'm on one of the vehicles.
We our mascot stopped loving the gate opening about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
That was it. It's a lot of backfires.
Hilarious.
People want to stop and rev and show us they love us with their V8 to 12. But it does make a very noisy, cacophonous, dusty, gas-fueled time, and it's by the end of that hour and a half, that's the first nap you usually catch me taking on site.
Is that right? Oh wow, yeah. I believe
It is.
that.
There is a sense of relief when the gates open for a lot of us working behind the scenes. Like, all right, the show has started. We're that's like we got to here. We got to this point.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
when
one
you're
of our
throwing a party and the first doorbell rings and you open the door.
and you feel like you're mostly ready,
Yeah.
or whether you're ready or not. The party has
It's
started.
happening.
You've entered a second phase.
Yeah. And there's an interesting gap in the schedule right then where kind of like the tribes take over the entertainment for a little bit until the main stage opens. But I'm sure you guys are still running a lot behind the scenes right then.
Yeah, we deliberately don't plan a lot for Wednesday just because we know there are going to be times like that we've still got stuff to deal with getting ready.
Yeah. And also, people are still streaming in that gate, setting up tents. So giving them a few minutes.
Yeah, we don't want
no
like
FOMO
you don't want
is
to
nice.
you don't want to plan your something amazing for Wednesday afternoon and have half the people miss it.
Of course. Yeah, and which is also why you do the second ceremony of the gates, which is really cool.
Yeah, so I don't remember what year I started doing that, but it's people have asked, well, why do you do the gates twice? Well, it's because you have to do something the first day. You have to do some kind of opening celebration. But if you only do it the first day, and we now start on I think it was maybe when we started on Wednesday, you realize, well, that a lot of our population doesn't get here till Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people
or
that
even
just come in
Saturday
on the weekend.
And then also when we would get film crews and local news and media coverage and all, they're not usually there till Friday or Saturday. And so there's a whole bunch of people that are not ever going to see a gate opening ceremony if you only do it on Wednesday. And of course you can't only do a Saturday because that doesn't make any sense. Why are you opening the gates on Saturday? We've been open for 4 days. So that's why we do it twice.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And Saturdays was extra lame this year for anyone who missed it, because Saturday was when we woke up to like, oh my God, it's cold and the wind is rough and we need to get people secured and this could be wind all day and it had been a late night Friday night, and so we did do the traditional thing where we honor our volunteers, but we didn't even have the drums because of the wind, so it was a little low key. Maybe I should say low key instead of lame.
It was low key. It was
Yeah.
low key.
Yeah.
I do feel kind of bad anyone that was arriving late Friday or early Saturday.
So
they probably
they're like,
came into a little bit of a
This is the big
utter
gate,
chaos.
This is
not
the
just
big
the
gate
fun
opening
stuff.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Right. And we did have Wednesday and Thursday was perfect
Amazing.
weather.
Indeed.
Holy crap.
Not as perfect as this, though. What the fuck?
I know.
We are sitting here in the most amazing, beautiful wasteland weather we've ever had, and it's
like
for teardown.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
upper 70s,
I'm thankful
no
it's for
wind.
teardown.
Yeah.
But and yesterday was even better.
Oh, yeah.
If we could have had yesterday 2 days ago, oh man, pyro would have happened.
The
Everything
spots
would have
of
been.
cloud cover over the last 2 days too, where you just get
gorgeous.
those moments where it's not even hot, but the sun gets behind a cloud for a minute and saves everyone's eyes and stuff. Oh, it's been great.
Yeah, it's just totally unpredictable out here.
And it was wild because during the wind, it's stressful. You got to kind of like rebat and everything. Dust is starting to get on everything. I mean, piles of dirt on your clean stuff.
I think for,
You have
for
clean
me,
stuff?
those of us
I have
who've
some
been
clean
out
stuff.
here for a long time, because I'm an outrider, I'm first boots, and having your home is really important. Having your place of sanctuary in a way.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Friday night coming back to my camp and just looking at everything collapsed, everything covered in dirt, there's this sense of like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother trying to fix it. I'm just going to accept it as it is.
You're just
and
resigned to it.
Yeah, exactly. You get really resigned.
Right.
But,
There's a
all
point
good.
that I started accepting this theme a long time ago.
Yeah.
Just, all right, this is just more genre. It's
Yep.
okay. We're just
Well, I
immersing
mean,
ourselves here.
the legendary dust storm was in 2016, I believe.
Right, that's
the
right.
Sandstorm year. And it's even, there's a little clip of it in one of the highlight videos that you made. I think, is it me on stage saying there's a dust storm moving in, like warning people?
I think it's something like that, yeah.
Something like that. It was over the speakers. And that year, it wasn't, like we had 2 really windy days out here this year, but that year it just was about an hour of an actual, like, Fury Road style
Like,
dust
you
storm
had to have
coming
goggles
through.
on, you could
yeah,
barely
you could
see,
you could
yeah.
feel all the sand stinging your skin if you were
Exactly.
outside. And I remember my tent. I had like a medium-sized dome tent, and I had to open up every part of the tent because otherwise the wind was going to push it down. So when you have all the mesh, I had to open up all of that, or the wind was going to just destroy that tent. So I came back to about like it seemed like someone had just fucked with me and put about 3 inches of sand in my tent, but no, it was just coming in
Holy
through the
crap,
holes.
yeah. On Saturday morning, I opened my camper and I put up this 10-foot camouflage blind around my entire camper, so it kind of blends in behind the Duke's camp. And it was in pieces, like laying on the ground in weird angles, and I started getting a little stressed, and I was like, am I going to put this back up? And then I started hearing words that a couple of camps were just
Flattened.
decimated. Yeah.
But still nothing like we've had before.
Oh, no.
Yeah, which is
No, it was just a handful, and I think the camp that really got hit hard was kind of a newer build. So you learn.
Yeah, there was a brand new build that didn't last in the wind. But
And thinking about it layout wise, I'm like, yeah, maybe putting the new camp on the most
windward side.
wasn't the best of ideas.
Blame the landlady.
Well, there
Yeah,
has
you
to
can
be a
blame her.
sacrifice to the wind gods.
yeah, exactly.
I think though, had this wind hit us 4 or 5 years ago, it would have
Oh,
been way
yeah.
worse. People have learned.
Oh, yeah.
And it's different. Every festival is different. The ground here is different than, a dry lake bed or something like that. So you learn what works out here. People have learned, especially people that use the lag bolts, the big long lag bolts with an impact driver to hold their tents down and all that. I think all of that led to really not much damage at all from that wind, and people still partying Saturday night because their camps weren't destroyed.
The Love Bombs provide top-notch outcomes for the most discriminating clients all across the wasteland. When you need executive escort and protection, intelligence analysis, direct action, or other specialized solutions, the Love Bombs provide a bespoke option tailored directly to your needs. Listen to this heartfelt testimonial from one of the Love Bombs' satisfied clients.
I hired the Love Bombs to save my precious Pookie Pie from them there scabs over yonder. They was fixing to turn his poor hide into jerky. Woo! Whew! I reckon not a one of those bastards will walk away from this scuffle. Goodness gracious, I reckon I ain't ever seen a gun that big. The Love Bombs will give your enemies a licking they won't soon forget.
Yes, the Love Bombs. They're polite, professional, and have a plan to kill everyone they meet. The Love Bombs provide complete confidentiality in their free initial consultation. That's right, the initial consultation is absolutely free. Remember, the Love Bombs. Artillery available.
I do need to point out we should start using proper nomenclature, because lag bolts led to me accidentally ordering lag bolts online instead of lag screws.
Like screws.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
got them from McMaster-Carr and went, oh.
Yeah,
You're
incorrect.
right. You're right. They are lag
Yep.
screws.
But yeah, Saturday morning I was got a little bit stressed. Of course, I'm averaging 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
The emotions are running high by the end of the weekend, and I walked around and I was like, I'm a little, I walked out of my camper, being a little bit down, like not ready, not knowing what to expect. But then I got out to Main Street and people were just hanging out like it's just any other Wasteland day. And I was like, fuck it. Let's go have a great day.
Yeah, I was so stressed that morning. I remember thinking, like, is this one of those days where like we have to cancel half of our events? And like, I was like, nobody's gonna want to do the swimsuit contest because it's cold and windy. I mean, they were just like, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna do it without water. Will people show up? Everybody showed up.
Yeah.
I woke up about 7:30 or 8 with my trailer vibrating because I'm the windbreak for all 4 Kick-Ass. And immediately just, oh God, up, out, overseer on comms, coming out for wind checks right now, like jumped in the ute half dressed and started hitting spots. And it was an hour later, Jared woke up like, Jared on comms. I'm like, don't worry. First thing, it's going to sound terrible in your trailer.
Which really
sounds
helped,
way worse than it is.
When I heard those noises, that's what it was. It was like, oh God, is this like where everything gets canceled on Saturday? Are we gonna have are we gonna have a big downer ending to what has been a great event? That was what I was worried about.
Yeah.
It did not happen.
At all.
When I
Not at all.
It was great, and it really kind of created the mood, right? It put us in the movie. We had a special effects team.
Let's start the wind machines.
Yeah.
I remember the tribe that went down, and they had gone down the night before. We had sent a couple people over to help them break things down safely when they started getting crushed at night, and I knew they were flattened then. So I came around to ask, what can we do? Are you leaving? Or are you just camping for the night? Can we bring some more frontage or cover you up?
Oh, good.
And they had already talked to their neighbors to have cars and trailers brought in to cover where the camp was. Their biggest concern was, were they still going to be able to plug their pizza oven in somewhere and eat dinner? And how can we make that work?
They were throwing the pizza,
because they were going to do the pizza party,
Yeah.
which I went down to CCB and everything went fine that way for them. But it was that kind of mood, and it was just a matter of come out and check, tell everyone, hey, we hope you're okay. What do you need? How can we help if it's really bad?
Yep. The show must go on.
And that's one of the great things I think about Wasteland, like using that as the example. It's like, okay, this group was going to throw this big, awesome pizza party. The camp gets destroyed. And instead of going, well, I guess we can't do that or whatever, another tribe stepped up and said, hey, you can use our space. We've got this big open area. Come on in. And they threw their pizza party. And I wasn't able to make it, but I heard everyone had a really great time.
Yeah.
Pizza was really good.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Hey, can we just talk about the food all Wasteland long? Because if you guys have not signed up for Build Crew yet, you are missing some of the best meals that have ever been prepared, not just in the Wasteland, but in the world. Holy crap. I don't know if it's just, a little bit, we were joking about how we should make a new piece of merch that's like a salt shaker, but it's just full of dirt, and you sprinkle some Wasteland on your food.
It's like Wasteland seasoning, but there's a warning label on that. No, really, this is just dirt.
No, really, it's dirt.
It's just dirt.
Well, I think there's two things here. One is that everything tastes good out here. Like, the canned fruit, the pears and stuff.
Yeah.
Normally in the real world, you eat it and it tastes awful. But out here, that syrup and stuff, it's amazing. It's the best thing you've ever had.
Yeah, your body's like, give me that.
So I think something about being out here makes things taste better. But then on top of it, you have people's creativity and like the willingness. I'm a person who hates cooking. The idea of cooking out here sounds like the worst idea to me. Some people love it, and they come up with these elaborate dishes. I'm like, how did you make this?
Yeah.
Out here in the desert, with camp supplies and whatnot. This is actually amazing food. So
Just want to pause here to say this podcast is sponsored by Dirt Apron. Get Wasteland meals delivered to your home.
I love it. And it's really funny because during the heat and the dryness, your body actually tells you you're not hungry, but then you get that first bite in, and you're like, give me all
I'm
of
ravenous.
this.
Well,
Right?
I mean, speaking of vendor coordinator, our food vendors over the years have gotten let's take a quick trip down memory lane and talk about the history of food vendors at Wasteland. And I'm not going to throw shade at anybody, but what I'm going to talk about is the first year we did this. 2010, like when we only had like 250, maybe 300 people.
Yeah.
We had one. I think we had one food vendor, which was called a Taco Lips. It was it was a pop up tent, not a pop, but like one of those tents, right? Like just like a mesh tent over some tables, and I think they had a generator with a microwave.
Wow.
And they were making like the world's worst tacos, and they sold out of all their food because all these people, this was their first camping event ever and didn't bring anything.
Oh wow.
And they never came back. And then for years, all we had was
the
a local taco truck
the taco
that would
truck.
come in completely unthemed and pull up and serve people tacos, which were
out of California City,
pretty
right?
good tacos out of California City.
I remember
run
the
by a
chicken
family.
burritos. I think it was 2013 or something like that. My tribe was just getting a kick out. You get kind of loopy out here, and the stupidest things are really funny. But the guy wasn't writing chicken correctly. It was like chichen or something like that. I thought it was like chichen burritos.
Chichen
yes.
burrito. And so then, but in the last several years, we've had some reliable food vendors who come out. We have like a whole food court now. It's been great, and people still bring all their own food and everything for camping. But it's man, when you're tired and busy, and it's like, do I want to walk back to my trailer and try to get something together, or do I just go right over there and get some Thai food? And it's that part of the event has really changed.
Some Thai crack.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I
Bill
will
Crew
go
survives
there
off
as well,
that Thai
even
crack.
in terms of both options and changes and whatnot. We even have the one legacy vendor, Golden Bamboo, traded hands from Vic to
different owners now. Yeah, but it's still
wow.
coming out.
Took the glory hole off the side of the booth.
And I got
It's probably good for health.
I got to point out one of my most favorite people at
was a fake
Wasteland
glory
is
hole.
one
Yes,
of the
absolutely.
ladies with Golden Bamboo who doesn't speak much English. She's got a strong accent. She's the happiest person out here, and everyone knows who she is. They're like, yeah, the lady who dances in the street and is just like ecstatic to every time you see her. She's just overjoyed, and it makes you happy.
And then you've got the tribes where CCB, it's like Kitchen Stadium over there.
Yeah.
They're incredible. The operation they bring out, and the people who bring out like some amazing just on their own for their tribe, either privately or to have a party a private party that they share with others. Like some of the cooking out here is really impressive. And,
Absolutely.
I don't have time for that, but
Command. They
you started this talking about food for Build Crew has been a level up this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I just meant they tend to all of those. We get notes like, "Would you guys like a plate of this or that or whatever?" Like, yes, send it. Let's put it in foil and send it. Like, we'll try one.
I'm always impressed with what the Build Crew cooks come up with when they get donated a bunch of random ingredients and somehow they make a meal out of it that's spectacular.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Like the apples this morning, the
cinnamon apples for breakfast on the side. Man, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Great food
good.
this year so far.
After Survivor's Party last night, who was it? Rocket said, "All right, want to start psyching you guys back to bed because we got a day of work tomorrow. So go back to Command Center. We'll wind down there." And then it was just like trays of ice cream being brought out, and just all sorts of fun snacks being pulled.
That was something I never really imagined back in the day when we barely had a command center. The idea that we would have and it was not that long later. We added a real kitchen a few years ago, so we've had one for a while. But just we have a lot of people. We're feeding like there was one
Build
meal
Crew
where I think it
this
was
year
close.
was big.
There was one meal I think we fed close to 80 people.
Yeah.
The first teardown meal was 80.
Yeah,
That's what we planned for.
This was
crazy.
I looked around last night, or I don't know, all the days run together, but within the last nights, I looked around and just all the tables lined out, all the people eating. It was like full on cafeteria. I went,
And so,
wow,
what an amazing job that
this is
kitchen crew's
amazing.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then
on at the front of all of that, you have Bear. You've got Craig Turpin, who's been taking on more and more of this crew care job, more and more prep and planning and everything else. So we've got what we need, stepping through the whole event and not running. When I took over command a few years ago, I think I sent 14 runs to Costco and grocery stores across the 5 days we were live. Get this, get that. We need one thing, this or that,
wow.
and being able to stop and have one crew care lead that I can work with in the season to just say,
Yeah.
this many heads per day, this much dry, let's get this much bought ahead of time for teardown so it's easier and all that. It's made all the difference in the world.
Thank you,
Right.
Bear.
Yeah.
Bear does so much of that work in the off season.
Yep, and he's got a crew of maybe a dozen or more over the course of the event that step in and help out and just keep us all well fed.
And
Which
then
is
all of
important.
those-
Build Crew's notorious for forgetting to eat and
Right.
take care of yourself and
Yeah. All right, so let's go back into the event and talk about the entertainment this year because the main stage was on fire. I mean, it wasn't on fire.
It was on fire at least one
Thursday night for a couple hours.
So Thursday night, we actually had the main stage lit, we had the burn car lit, and we had the main gates lit all at the same time. And we're proud of it. We're very proud of that. Our pyro team this year was incredible.
Yeah, we wanted to had a lot to prove this year.
Repairing, rebuilding, and everything done really well, done safely, under budget, on schedule or better than on schedule. Really happy with that. The only sad thing is with all the wind we had the last couple of days, we just didn't get to show it off enough. But we'll be showing it off next time.
Excellent. Yeah, it was pretty wild to see that both signs needed some maintenance, and just watching that happen in real time here was awesome.
Yeah. The performances were great. We had some returning artists and some new ones. I don't want to plug them all right now because invariably I'll forget one and feel awful. But just go to our website and look at the entertainment page, and you'll see our whole lineup.
Yeah, and it's wild because some of these bands come into Wasteland as smaller bands, but over the years they've actually gained a following within this event.
Yeah, they have their outside following, and then they have their community following as well.
Exactly.
And some of them are even even come out and form sort of tribes out here or get absorbed into tribes. So they're not just coming out here to play and leave. They're coming out here to be part of the whole event for multiple days. And I think some of the ones that come out and I won't say who because I don't want to to get
same thing again.
their band in trouble. but basically, it's not like it was in trouble. But basically, they said, "Man, I would have loved. I want to come out and stay, but like I transported the band out here, and they all want to get back." So I don't get to stay.
Oh, bummer.
And so that's like they want to try to work on their band. Like, hey, we got to stay longer next time because I want to be more part of this. And we had another band, and I won't mention them either, only because I'm not sure if they'll pull it off. But this was their first time playing, and they're like, by the end of their set, they were like, okay, we're staying here tonight. We're staying here the whole event, and next year we want to form our own tribe. And like they had bought in so much, like even before they were done playing the stage, because they'd never experienced anything like this.
Wow. Yeah, it was great, and it looked like the stage went fairly smooth overall.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it's a tough thing to keep on time here.
Yeah, tough thing with the wind. I think the schedule was pretty good. I mean, obviously, if the wind is too strong, we can't do some of the fire performers.
Yeah.
You always have to rearrange some stuff.
Of course.
But no, I think it all went off pretty well, and our thanks to Chino Sound, who does our stage sound and lighting, and to the bands who always deal with difficult circumstances. The good news is the groups we get out here, it is very, very rare that someone like throws down a microphone and storms off stage like I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
These
wind,
conditions are no, they're ready to perform in the apocalypse when they get out here.
Yeah, so good. And Casper of the WCC, he's been putting together this little pocket schedule every year.
It's been so helpful.
Yeah, and a lot of Wastelanders
and we have
were carrying
that
them.
for download on the website.
Oh, that's
I believe.
awesome.
Yeah.
But he combines the official entertainment with the tribe-run stuff.
Yeah, what we call the unofficial schedule, which is great. That puts it all together.
Yeah.
And when I printed mine out, I was like, hey, are there like more pages than last year? He was like, yeah, there's a lot of community stuff.
So much stuff going on, and it's great. And it's one of those things where we love that there's this unofficial schedule. The only reason we can't make it official is because it's hard enough for us to keep track of our own stuff. If I was having to also factor in every change that happened among the 50 tribes that have their own schedules, I would go insane. So a big props to Sierra of Schofield's Drifters, who puts together that unofficial schedule.
Yeah, I think Sierra does the community one, and then Casper takes it and puts it into a format that's easy to print.
Yeah, he collates that, and
the two of them are awesome.
So those things combined are really great, and I refer to it as well sometimes because lots of stuff I want to see.
Yeah, it changed the way I shoot the event on the video team because it made it so easy to just schedule everyone to go in different directions.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because when you look over that thing, there's not just like large performances. We got tons of burlesque, music performances, that kind of thing. But there's also some real low-key things.
Oh, and some of those are my favorite. Some of those creative little things that people do. Where I'm like, oh my god, that sounds awesome. I never get to go see it because I'm so busy.
I feel like
but it always sounds great.
The Bolt Cutter. Someone in the Green Place did one of the days like live drawing. They had models with art supplies and draws.
That's great.
So little things like that are kind of neat.
Yeah, and there's Samoda does a bunch of like workshops where you bring your own supplies and then you work together on building things. It's just really cool all the things people come up with. And there's several tribes. I think Tortuga Trading Company was one of the ones that did like hey, let's walk around and I'll give you a tour and like tell you.
The kindergartners.
Yeah, that's what it was.
For all the
Wait,
new Wasteland. Tortuga had this thing for kindergartners, which they called, for the first years.
Just a caveat: we do not have any children on site. This is an 18 and over event.
Adult kindergartners.
Yes.
And I remember walking past them, and abso-fucking-lutely, darling, your soon-to-be ex-wife.
No, she's now ex. We settled that on Saturday.
Oh, you are divorced now. I see. She was
Again,
leaving
that's not real.
Not real. None of this is real.
She was leaving around this group of a ton of people. So of course, as they're walking down the street, everyone knew who it was. So everyone on the street is like, "Hi, noobs!" and calling out to them. They were all getting excited, and it was kind of cool.
Oh, so fun.
She was showing them all the things, give them a tour kind of thing.
Yeah. Because Wastelanders get excited about this, and they, we are definitely, some of us have been doing this for a decade plus, and we're like, we got to get some more noobs in here.
We had a lot of everything I've heard from so many people is how great the first years were this year.
Yeah.
All the newcomers who came this year brought great attitudes. Most of them had great costumes already. They were just all in it. It was just really, really cool to see.
I think it was 19 the last time I stopped Jen to ask, did you see the four-wheeler with the giant bear trap front end? And we stopped and talked about how great the first years were that year. And this year I stopped a guy wait, was this car in the cruise last year? And he's like, I've never been here before. And it was a top-down Wasteland car, no questions asked, multiple facets of engineering into
Yeah.
it. It was 2 cars put together. Just an
We got a windstorm.
There we go.
Here it comes. Oh,
And the sun.
Our shade's gone.
All right, for those of you who can't see, which is all of you, we're in the Dauntless camp right now, or the remains of it, and we had a whole shade thing over us. It just blew off. It's still attached. It's hanging tough, but wow.
That was wild.
that
Just
was
one
wild.
breath.
Just one breath.
One breath.
Yeah.
It just
Aw, thank you, cowboy.
I'm picturing that old kind of drawing they used to do where like it would be the clouds with a face on it with the cheeks all puffed up, blowing
yeah.
like that. That's what that was like.
exactly. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Winter. Winter can't help but help. Hey, that's better.
It's kind of stuck over here, but
No, that's perfect. I think you got it.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, cowboy.
the interpreter, her joke that she always had the hashtag Aaron helped. Because
Yes.
she'd show up to build days and like cuddle the dogs. Yeah, you know what, Aaron? Jen, actually.
Jen helped.
Jen
Yeah,
helped.
Jen
Jen helped. Amazing. Hey survivors, Makeshift here to remind you that the Apocalypse Post is brought to you in no small way by our Patreon supporters. Join the ranks for early access and exclusive content with support levels now named for fancy Fallout-ridden factions like the $2 per creation Drifter or the $7 Wastelander. Knowing you've got my back has helped me dedicate more time to this channel, spreading love of the post-apocalypse, and less time on stupid real-world stuff. Sign up right now at patreon.com/theapocalypsepost. Hey survivors, the next season of Legends of Wasteland City is coming up in 2024, and we're looking for short, post-apocalyptic stories to add to the mix. If you've got a short story or a script that you want to submit, send it along with a short summary to theapocpost@gmail.com, and it might be in the next season of Legends of Wasteland City. What were some highlights for you guys? Wow. I know.
What was what?
Some
of the
highlights. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man, I have some highlights and a lot
Oh.
I probably can't talk about on here.
Do you have one you can start with?
Oh, man, we had shenanigans. I do.
Oh, tell me about Old Man
Oh.
Max.
About what?
Old Man Max.
Old Man Max. Okay, I'll tell the story of Old Man Max. So this Old Man Max is this kid who showed up a few years ago and looks very young for his age. And
He was very young when he first showed
He
up.
showed
Right.
up and he had just turned 18 or something like
Yeah.
that. But he had his ID and wristband checked constantly because no one believed he was 18. And he immediately earned the moniker Old Man Max. And this guy's just very, very great personality, easygoing, really helpful, hard worker. He helped out with build crew and just always willing to do whatever was asked of him, kind of thing. And because everyone likes him so much, every time he shows up on site, the entire build crew kind of freaks out. And so his second time here, everyone's on the radio screaming, "Old Man Max just arrived!" And we kind of swarmed him and immediately put him to work. Well,
Yes.
this year, it was during build. We heard he was on his way in. And a bunch of us were in command center, and we jumped in a couple of the utes and went out past Boundary, out into the desert, down Rosewood in the middle of the night, like a bunch of hoodlums that we are. And pretty much turned off the lights on the utes, hid in the bushes, and then when he saw his car coming, we swarmed him like a bunch of zombies and just raced up to him and told him, "You have to walk the rest of the way into the event now." And I ran into him the next day, and he's like, "I didn't know what was happening." He's like, "I was just driving, and all of a sudden there's people in the bushes coming
Yeah.
out at me."
The
And I'm
hills
like,
have eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I kind of think we have to step it up every year on how we greet Old Man Max when he arrives. I do have one thing I didn't talk about last night.
Oh.
I won for the first time an award from WCC, their Weights and Measures, which
Oh.
is their like Guinness Book of Records type thing.
Uh-huh.
The most number of other people's coats worn simultaneously. I had 13 coats on me piled on at Zeke's. I think at one point I even had Bear's bear pelt with the bear head on.
And were you still ambulatory or were you flat on the ground?
I was hunched
Yeah.
over. I looked like the lady from Labyrinth with all the stuff on her back. I was hunched
Oh, yeah.
And just random strangers kept coming up and being like, "I
Oh, I
want
have
to
a
be
coat.
involved." So
I
they
have a
take
coat.
off their jackets and pile another one on. And it got a
Woman
little
crushed
ridiculous.
to death
so.
by coats
Yeah, so
at
that
Desert
was-
Festival.
Yeah, that was the great coat monster of 2023.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
I love that. Jared, you were having a lot of fun this year. I saw-
Yeah, we did have some fun this year. Honestly, it's one of those things where negative energy can be infectious and positive energy can be infectious,
Yeah.
and that really lifted me up many times when things were stressful, or just honestly just being tapped out from the physical exercise of it all. Like I'm doing, like I've the phone counts your steps. I'm doing like 26,000 steps a day out here.
Whoa.
And
I'm so glad I don't count my steps.
I usually don't
Yeah.
check it until I get home because it'll make me tired to think about it.
Yeah.
But I happen to check it.
By the end of the event, we're all walking around like the cowboy that comes in the saloon off
Yeah.
the horse, just swinging each hip in.
You learn to walk with your hips more than your feet. Because
Yeah.
your feet just can't do it anymore.
There were a lot of highlights, but I talked about it last night around the fire, but the helicopter. So we have, it is a weird tradition out here where the coach from our staff owns a helicopter, but it's the empty shell of a helicopter. No rotor blades or anything, just empty shell. So it was very lightweight, and people steal it and move it around.
Yeah.
And then we have Arnon Kor, which is the world's greatest hardcore Arnold Schwarzenegger tribute band, and Arnold Schwarzenegger
fantastic.
themed band.
So good.
Yeah.
They're
Tribute band.
They're surprisingly so good.
So tribute band makes it sound like there is an Arnold Schwarzenegger
Right.
band, and they are the tribute to it. No,
Yeah.
it's not quite that. It's almost like in the apocalypse, someone found some old Schwarzenegger movies and thought it was all real and that he was some sort of god, and now they are, taking their cues from him.
Yeah.
But they're great, and they're a great band. It's not just the shtick, but. So we have the helicopter, and we thought, well, they sort of have the military themed look, and of course get to the chopper and all that stuff. So we this year, a few of the guys in the team, they put the helicopter on the very variable reach
Telehandler.
forklift telehandler we have, and at the finale of their show, we lifted the helicopter up, rised it up behind the drum riser. Well, this thing went all the way up above the Wasteland sign, and what only like 4 of us knew was that we also had a guy in the helicopter that was going to stick his head out, and the
Yes.
band didn't even know that was going to happen. So yeah, they knew. Oh, that looks really cool. Yep, there's the helicopter we knew about. Wait, there's a dude in there with a machine gun, and he's got Arnon Kor makeup on.
On my side of things, I would like to say a firefighter clipped in with a very healthy safety
Oh yeah,
harness.
no,
in
that
there.
was honestly that was the most fun part about it. Is we were looking at all the OSHA regs, everything. Like we did this by the book. Like there is,
yeah.
technically everything was really safe.
And that was Pickles up there, right? Is that his wasteland
No,
name?
I don't.
that
I
was
don't know his
Alan.
last name.
His name's Alan, but I don't know if I know his wasteland name. And he's a firefighter. And
Oh, okay.
I feel
I
like
don't
it's
really-
Alan something. Like
It's something Allen is his
includes
normal one.
regular
And I
name,
kept
yeah.
calling him Ethan by accident, so it ended up being Ethan Allen by the end of the week.
Ethan Allen. Yeah, no, but he's from Connecticut. He's not
Great
from
furniture.
Vermont.
He said he makes good furniture.
Yeah. No, he probably doesn't like. But I just call him Bridgeport because he's from Bridgeport.
Oh, yeah.
in Connecticut. I'm just like, Bridgeport.
Nice. Yeah, that was a stellar, and that was what, Saturday night?
Friday night.
Yeah.
But Friday night we also had Attack on the stage, which is always a great show. We had V2A, who always breaks the record for the number of people on stage with them. They hadn't been back since 2019. Yeah, so we had there was a lot that night. And was Extine and the Reckless Hearts? Was that Thursday or Friday? It all blends together now, but
Yeah,
it was a fun
course.
night at the stage.
What are days?
Yeah.
What are
What
days?
is time?
Yeah.
Attack actually was a big highlight for me. Because of the nature of the work I've done out here and just the exhaustion, Friday night is my I'm going to bed early night for years.
right.
And I made time to do it this year. New command center manager doing half of my logistics in there. Ace, thank
Perfect.
you. That makes things perfect. But I finally had time, and I thought, this has always been one of our big shows and big players. Everyone knows Tim, and I've worked with him for years, out on build. So I wanted to go down and do it. And I just had this weird memory walking down Main towards the stage of the first time. And I'm a Stephen King guy, but I never read the Dark Tower stuff, so I never understood Attack's material. Tim and I have talked about that for years. I just the songs that are germane to our entire existence, out your fuel injected suicide machines, fuck you, Survivor, all of that. I'm with it, but when they get into their hardcore Dark Tower stuff, I'm completely lost, and I've never. So I kind of don't, and I try and get down to catch a song or two or this or that. But I was walking up towards stage, and I remember it being my first year in 16, one of the most explosive shows we had that night. People were packed at that stage that year. And I'm going, geez, who is this band I've never heard of? What is happening down here, everything else? And this year I walked up to a very cold and windy pit that was still just about as much packed. But what I saw on stage was such a dramatic change from that first time for me. Every single person up there, every go-go dancer, every stage tech, every performer in the band was a friend of mine. Was someone that I know, that I've worked with, that I love, that was that's our community show here. You know what I mean?
Well,
That's
I mean, they've played more times than anyone else, and we've said many times they're basically our house band.
Right.
And when they even started playing, like they started on Build Crew before they ever played the show for us.
Right.
So that was part of it too.
Yeah, they wanted to be on the stage so bad. They were like, "What if we just help you build the entire thing? Will you let us up there?"
Can't say
then?
no. Well, they always refer to themselves as the talentless shit band.
Yeah.
And the reason is, it was a couple years into them playing at Wasteland. I think it was somebody posted online. Wasteland Weekend is nothing but a bunch of talentless shit bands. I suspect it was one of the bands that we rejected wanted to play. But Tim
call.
and those guys really had fun with it and took that as their moniker. Like, fuck it, yeah, we're the talentless
Own it.
shit band. Yep. Yeah, great. Come, see how we rock this crowd as a talentless shit band.
And I agree. The attack show is always a highlight for me. It's always so fun. When I get up on stage to get some of my BTS shots and I look back at the audience, it's just a who's who of everyone I know at Wasteland, just eyes glued on stage, having the time of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the ways you do it is you spend a lot of time out here and make friends with everyone and say, hey, you better come out and see my show. That's one way to pack the audience.
This does become, especially again, those of us that are out here for a long time, it does become a giant family. And it's like this is a family reunion every year.
Yep.
And you have your traditions and all the people that you're excited to see and hug. And I think I know we talk a lot about trauma bonding. But this year I didn't feel like it was trauma bonding. I mean, I think it was just there wasn't a lot of drama. Everything just kind of worked real well. We bonded over all the fun stuff.
Yeah. We seem to, you hit that right speed on Rosewood, and you can skip over some of the washboard. We sort of hit the right speed and skipped over a lot of the drama this year. It was kind of nice.
Ooh,
I will say that V2A also, they come all the way over from Europe.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they refer to this as their hometown show. Because they're like, this is our family, this is home for us, they feel like this is their other bands U2 goes back and plays Ireland and that's their hometown. No, this is for them. They consider this their hometown crowd.
Which is really cool.
So
Which is really
great.
You
neat.
hear that a lot from new people too. They come out here and experience this for the first time, and then you see a lot of stuff on our Facebook groups and stuff about people saying, I finally feel like I have a place I belong, and I finally have found my tribe. I found my group. I found my people that understand me and my weirdness, and I feel like I fit in. And it's always a really good feeling because those of us who've been doing it for a while, we're like, yes, one of us, welcome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when you first talk to someone and you just know that they get it.
They get it. Yeah.
You're just like, it feels so good.
I've said it many times, but this is one of those things where you can watch a video, you can read about it online, but until you've come out and done it, you don't really understand. They're like, so it's kind of like it's kind of like Burning Man. I mean, well, yeah, in that it's a festival in the desert, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's like saying, an apple and an orange, they're both fruit.
Right.
But you're not going to put peanut butter on an orange.
Yeah.
Is that a good analogy?
Now
yeah.
I'm kind of considering it.
All right, I've gone in the weeds, but I would put peanut butter on anything. That's not a good analogy. So my point is, people when they come, they have to come out and live it for at least a few hours, and then they get it.
Yeah.
And most of them say I'm coming back every year no matter what.
I would actually argue not even just a few hours. Sometimes people come out and they get here and they've gone through a big journey and their car broke down and they're frustrated. And I've also seen this a lot of times where people will go, the first day I was here, I didn't understand. I didn't get it. I was unhappy. There was all this stress. I didn't, whatever. But then, by the second day, this one thing happened or this one person spoke to me and suddenly it changed everything. And from there on out, suddenly it all fell into place. And now I'm a lifer.
My first year, and I tell the story constantly around the campfire, anyone who will listen, I nearly fled the site in tears my first morning, never to come back. I had an absolutely miserable experience getting in. We were some well-meaning in our way of community policing Wastelanders, told my tribe, no, it's fine. Just get in line about 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. You'll be great.
To get into the event?
To get into the event. In the old line, and that was 2016.
Wait, so that was back when Thursday was the first day?
Yes.
To be clear.
Exactly.
Yeah, we didn't add Wednesday until 2017. 2017, I think.
Wow. Might have been.
I think it was our first time on this property.
It was when we turned to this, when we changed to this property, that's when we added the 5th day.
But yes, we spent the whole night trapped in the windstorm.
Oh my
PT Cruiser
God.
vibrating. Getting in was horrible. Our neighbors are folks that certainly don't come anymore because they've offended a lot of people over the years. It was just a pretty rough experience. And in the morning, I went to run out of my camp to our private Porto out in the wilds, which we had for the first time this year again in a long time. That was nice. them had built up their camp in the night with that giant wall, and we didn't know they were there. I was bleary-eyed. I cut my legs to ribbons trying to run to the Porto in their guy lines. Fell down, was literally peeing myself trying to get to the Porto, and just like, I'm done. I'm gonna use this $250 porta potty, and then I'm going home. And out of the darkness, in the dawn light, came Dave Dufour. In a burned out pink unicorn onesie that he used to wear, going, "Brother, are you okay?" And I'm going, "I am not. Do you need a hug?" And I look at myself like, you don't want to hug any of this. And he's like, "Do you know who I am? It's cool."
You think I haven't hugged worse?
Right, exactly. He's like, "I only just barely made it here myself. You're cool. Let's talk." And he said, basically, "You look like you're about to leave. And I see this every year." And I said, "I'm 100% about to leave." And he said, "Don't. Just stay, make it through the day today, get through whatever happened last night in your rough morning, and you're going to see something out here like you've never seen before, done before, or anything else." And by about 6:30 that night, I had changed costumes 3 times, had my neighbors run over a better costume with their truck, so I felt a little more in theme, and was into the vibe of things in a big way. I joined off-season build 2 weeks later to help prep for the ball at the end of 2016 that year. And have been on it nonstop, and I tell everyone.
That's fucking choice, man.
Yeah, right? I turn into Dave vocally by the end of every show now. I can't help it.
Yeah.
He was incredibly missed this year, Dave. We all love you.
Yeah.
We love you, Dave.
When I see first years stop at those tower gates, and I see it every single year, and melt down, tears of joy, of relief, of everything else, they're finally here. I end up standing quietly crying in command with them every time I see them come through. Everything I do out here is to give people an experience that they've never seen anything like, and it's the greatest calling I've had in my life.
Amazing. Yeah.
Real quick, speaking of the Dave DeVore voice, there was a point on radio sometime during this event, I think it was you, JR, someone called and they didn't say who they were. And someone was like, "Okay, who is that calling?" And I think it was you, and you just went, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is the overseer. I didn't announce who I was. I figured you'd know my voice." And everyone just said, "No one knows anyone's voice at this point. We all sound like Dave Dufour." And then the radio goes off, "Choice, choice, choice, choice."
Yeah, I think there was a day, I don't know which day it was after Wasteland, that we used to call Talk Like Dave Dufour Day.
Yeah.
Because everybody would have it. Yeah.
Everyone's just got that. It's just gone. Between, coughing up the dirt phlegm in the morning and just having to yell a little bit louder for so many days.
Yeah.
Well, nonstop communication.
Yeah.
In my case, from the minute I get here until the minute I leave, I'm answering 20 questions a minute. And,
Absolutely.
It adds up.
It does. Well, I don't want to hold you guys for too long, but I would be amiss if I didn't do the wrong thing right now and talk about Neotropolis.
Yeah. Well,
because I know you guys probably don't want to think about any of
we've
this
been
yet.
telling everybody during the people are excited. It's an amazing Neotropolis is awesome, and it's new, and there's a lot of creativity. All of us as well. Like, so we, as people were having a good time at Wasteland. They weren't like looking ahead because they weren't having fun, but they were also like, "Oh, well, let's also talk about what's next." And I have all these ideas for Neotropolis. I'm just, please, no.
Yeah.
Just wait. And the reason I would say is I was like, "No, you don't understand. I'm not saying no because you're bothering me. I'm saying no because I also have a lot of enthusiasm, and I need to focus on what I'm doing right now. If I start talking with you right now about all the fun stuff we want to do for that, I'm not going to focus on this. But yeah, we're almost to the point we're ready as a group to start talking about that. And it all comes back to a great build and a great event that we're leaving here with, or when we leave here, are going to have the energy to not need. People leave here sometimes, and I will see it or they will say it. I don't want to hear anything Wasteland World related for like about 2 months.
Yeah.
And and don't get me wrong, people deserve a break, God knows. But I am also, Neo is so cool and fun and exciting, and people still have energy left that they're kind of ready to hit the ground running talking about Neo after this. They want to do it all again.
This is the first year that I'm not going to be leaving site just like, okay, I need a few weeks at least.
Yeah.
I'm raring to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to take about 3 weeks when we're done.
Oh no.
I start hitting the Neo. Perfectly honest.
No, I'm gonna definitely take some time where I'm not working as many hours a day on this stuff. But I've got some fun ideas planned, and I will say that we put out a teaser announcement today on the Neotropolis socials. Expect an announcement very soon about when tickets are going on sale.
Very
so
cool.
Tickets are going to go on sale very soon for Neo.
Oh, that's very exciting. I got to say, I went to Neo for the first time last year. I missed the first one, and it was automatically like I can't miss this one either now.
Yeah. There's some people that are almost a little bit mad at us that like because it's not easy to get, especially depending on how far away you live.
Yeah.
But they're almost kind of mad. We're like, shit, I got to do 2 of these a year now. I don't have a choice because they're both. I love them both.
Well, there's a lot of festivals out there that people can try, but both of these festivals are just so special in so many ways. Tons of fun, great people.
It's the people, yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, part of it's the location.
Yeah.
When we chose the very first location for Wasteland we were scouting locations back in like, it was either end of 2009 it was probably early 2010, somewhere around there, trying to find a spot. And we knew we had to have a spot where you couldn't see civilization 360 degrees. That was step one. And that's so important.
Right.
Because you got to bring people into a different world. And it starts with that. You know, if you could look right down the street and see, you know, lots of stuff that reminds you what world you're in, what timeline you're in, you've already lost some of it. So.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? What would you want to say? All right, so let's think about next year. You're in charge of I'm talking to JR now. JR, you're in charge of kind of putting this whole thing together. What do you want to say to people that are interested in volunteering for next year?
Please come. We are always interested in volunteers in every department. We're going to do a lot more recruiting this year for specific departments and needs that we found lacking, both on season and off season. And we always need off season help. There's an immense amount of logistics in building what we build, doing the art builds that we build, getting everything ready year to year and everything.
And there almost is no. I mean, when we say off season, we just mean not during the event.
Right.
Exactly.
Like with 2 events a year now, there's basically no off season.
Right.
It's just where you're not at the event, or it's anything that's between. That's not either 3 weeks before the event or 2 weeks after. All of that is off season, and people are going to ask when we're going to open up applications. Neo volunteer applications will probably open soonish. Don't know exactly when.
I feel like we got to get them in October.
Yeah,
So.
October or November might be when we start doing performer and
Awesome.
all volunteer applications for Neo, and then for Wasteland that won't start until sometime in the spring. But off-season help for both events, there's no like. We have a separate sign-up form for that and separate ways to get in touch with us for that. So that's kind of always happening. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a great year with everybody again. We had a great pool of volunteers this year, maybe better than we've ever had across the board. And we've always welcomed new attendees into several of the volunteer teams that sometimes works very well and sometimes works very awkwardly.
Right.
This year was a good year that way. People came that wanted to be involved, that wanted to be part of this community, that wanted to do more than just show up and party. And of course we love the attendees that just want to come out and party. I'll never say, hey, don't buy a ticket and come throw down here. That's always a good thing to have.
Yeah.
But the volunteers that do go year round with us and the volunteers that work tirelessly to make this thing work, that's where the credit for a lot of this goes.
Yeah.
And has to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we already have a long list we've been keeping during the event of things we want to do even better next year. We've got some really cool improvements in mind.
Yeah, it seems like every year we're just like, hey, next year let's.
Yeah, but this year we actually kept a list.
This year, that's
Someone
the
was
first
writing it down?
improvement. The first improvement was we actually had a digital whiteboard that we all contributed to.
We have written it down before sometimes, but it's on like some notepad somewhere that blows up. And it doesn't. This time, we were even with limited internet access, we were online with our virtual whiteboard that is already filled with all kinds of cool stuff we're going to do better next year.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic. Winter, did you have a final thought?
I just wanted to say, obviously, thank you to all the volunteers. As JR said, this couldn't work without the volunteers. And you guys are all amazing superstars. I see it constantly. I'm always wowed by it. But I wanted to say thank you to all the things that I didn't see and that I don't know, but you all know about it. The things that you did to help someone else out. The things that every person listening to this, there was something that someone did for you or some, kindness that was shown. Thank you to all of you for doing those things because that's what makes this a really great community. So.
Oh, yeah. We're all really closely following the message boards, especially on the Facebook pages.
Yeah.
And it's so good to hear about your great experiences and what your favorite parts were. And we love your photos.
Yeah.
It's so good to see.
I just have to give a shout out to all the photographers and videographers, both amateur and professional, that come out here because we miss so much when we're busy working. So I get like a second Wasteland, which is about a week from now when I finally settle in and I can relax and sit at my computer and just catch up on all the stuff I missed, and it's really great. And even for people that did get to see a lot, this is a very fun time for people to go back and just kind of like let it all wash over them again, and not just looking for photos of themselves, but other things that reliving memories and seeing what they missed. And the good news is we get to roll that out over the months as more and more comes in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even this year, I feel like there was quite a few people about a month ago that went, "Oh, I never posted my pictures from last year's Wasteland. I guess I better do it now." And we kind of got a little burst of pictures.
And that's
coming
always
out.
good too, because it helps everyone get hyped up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
Yeah, gets everyone excited and in the mood and just like ready to go.
Ready to do it. Yeah.
And yes, we will have more patches next year.
Did we run out?
Oh, we always run out.
always-
But here's the funny thing is, I think I was adding like more every year, just trying to figure out, because not everybody's going to buy. I'm talking, of course, about the year chevrons that go under, and everybody wants those. And this year I ordered 500, which is like 100 more than I've ever ordered, and they still sold out by like Thursday afternoon.
Whoa.
So, and yeah, we always reorder them. We always restock the old ones. You can eventually collect them all, but yeah, next year I'm ordering even more. I'm going to order like maybe it'll be 800. Maybe next year, but the year I finally order more than we need. We shall see.
There are some left over at the end of the event.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much. I know it's a lot of work to put this up. Jared, I know you've dedicated yourself to keeping this thing going for ever.
Thank you, Jared.
And well, now we've got a team that I think can do it.
We probably could do a if we're going to keep doing the Tina Turner references for this year, maybe our final on-site picture is "Ain't We a Pair, Raggedy Man?"
I like that.
Yeah, it'll be me driving away and leaving you standing next to an abandoned vehicle. I'm down with that.
With the dog. Yeah, that'd be good.
With the dog, yeah.
Yep. But on behalf of all the Wastelanders, you three are kind of helping me represent all of the volunteers and staff that put this thing together. So I can't thank you enough, because this is one of my favorite places in the world, and it's also my pilgrimage from the other side of the country now that I'm further away, and it's just an amazing thing to experience.
Thanks, Makeshift.
Absolutely. All right. Well, survivors, we're going to wrap things up. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you can. If you like today's episode, go ahead and share it with your friends. If you hated it, share it with your enemies via a wasteland shaman named Dave DeFore. And we'll see you next time, survivors. Stay alive.
And days